Lesson 3.7, Part 1. So Lesson 3.7 in general is absolute value. There's absolute value equations, and there's absolute value inequalities. Now, I know this whole chapter has been about inequalities, less than, the greater thans, but we're going to throw in the equations. So what's done here is we're splitting it. We're going to do absolute value equations today and just focus on that. And you have a homework tonight. I believe I titled it Lesson 3.7 Part 1. And then tomorrow we'll do Lesson 3.7 Part 2, which is absolute value inequalities. And I believe the homework title will be Lesson 3.7 Part 2. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there are two separate homeworks. Now, absolute value. The idea of absolute value, guys. You remember anything about absolute value? Let me ask you first.
Man, all I remember really is doing. I think. Don't we just add the 5? I don't know. Like,
I remember the word.
Okay. That's a start. These bars represent absolute value, right? And officially, the definition of absolute value is the distance from 0. Okay? The distance from 0. So tell me, how far is 5 from 0? It's 5, right? Now, the idea here is, I'm trying to figure out how I want to put this. If the absolute value of x equals 5, well, if you go right on the number line, 5 is 5 from 0, yes? This is your right, isn't it? Okay. Sorry, I have to think backwards here. So 5 is 5 from 0. What's 5 from 0 the other way? Negative 5. So we actually have two answers when we talk about absolute value. When we talk about the absolute value of 5, there are two answers that could go in there. X can equal 5, or x can equal negative 5. What these absolute value bars are going to do is they're going to take whatever's in the absolute value bars and turn it positive, is what's going to happen. So on something like this, if I'm not mistaken, you have a question this easy in homework, where it says, I don't know, absolute value of x equals 5. My choices are 5 or negative 5. Basically, you take whatever this absolute value is equal to, set equal to the positive and the negative. Now, I don't know how many questions are in the homework.
No, I'm not going to ask that.
Okay.
This next one would be x equals 4.
No. Now, there's a catch on this next one. Distance. Absolute value absolute value of x equals negative 4. How do I want to say this? I feel like I'm going to lead you astray, and I don't want to lead you astray.
Wait, is it because...
What do you know about distance?
It's far away.
Right. Does it make sense if I say, okay, let's go drive 4 miles down the road?
No.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Does it make sense if I say, let's go drive negative 4 miles down the road?
No.
That doesn't make sense, does it? Okay. So the catch here, and I don't feel like I'm doing a good job of explaining it. We're getting so we can actually see. That's good. I'm not going to complain. The catch here is that absolute value cannot equal a negative. And so since absolute value cannot equal a negative, anytime you have absolute value bars equal to a negative, we're going to say no solution. Okay? So, and we're going to go through and solve some equations here, and I'll explain as we go. But if it's absolute value equal to a positive, you're going to set up two equations. The absolute value equal to a positive, or the absolute value equals a negative. If it's absolute value equals a negative, you get to stop there and say, oh, there's no solution, because absolute value cannot equal a negative. A distance cannot equal a negative. So, 2 steps today. First, we're going to isolate the absolute value expression. What do I mean isolate? Do we like that word or not? I'm getting some looks. We don't like that word. Okay. if I'm going to isolate something, if you're isolating,
Like corn
quarantine, and what are you doing when you're quarantined?
by yourself.
You're by yourself, right? Okay. All these COVID words that now all of a sudden are helpful, right? Okay. So, I didn't say we like them. I'm just saying they're help. We understand them better. So the idea is we're going to isolate the absolute value expression. We want to get the absolute value by itself. We want to isolate it when we want to send it home to quarantine. Okay? Then after we isolate it, we're going to set up two equations. Equal to the positive and then equal to the opposite. So let me take you through some examples here. Absolute value of n minus 5 equals negative 2. So, find your absolute value bars. Are they by themselves, where everything outside of them is moved away? Do I have absolute value equal to everything else on the other side of the equal sign?
No.
No. What do I have hanging around outside the absolute value? A 5. It's specifically a minus 5. How do we move a minus 5?
Add 5.
We add 5, yes? If I add 5 on the left, and actually I guess you guys prefer to write it down below, don't you?
I don't know.
If we add 5 on the left, we're going to add 5 on the right.
But this negative 2, so it's going to be 5. It's going to be negative 7.
Hold on. Grab a calculator, please.
So we have since we have a little pocket right here. Did you say we were doing 37 part 2 tomorrow?
Yes.
I have a EP meeting.
Okay.
With my mom.
Worry about it later, okay?
Well, I was just saying.
Worry about it later. I know, but I want to focus right now, okay? So, absolute value of n, it was minus 5. So we added the 5 to the other side. Minus 5 plus 5 cancel. What is negative 2 plus 5? I think I heard it. Did I hear it? 3.
How is it 3? I don't understand.
Because you're adding a negative and a positive, and so we subtract the values. Okay? Now are my absolute value bars and what's inside it, are they by themselves?
Yep.
Yeah, because I just have absolute value equals the rest. So now we're going to take this and we're going to set up two equations. One is the given equation, which the given equation, just drop off your bars. So n equals 3. Or, now we keep the left side the same, but instead of positive 3, we say negative 3. A lot of times there's still solving to do at this point. This particular problem, there's not. We have n equals 3 or n equals negative 3. And they both work. Because when we take the absolute value of something, that says the bars say to make it positive. So the absolute value of 3 is 3. 3 minus 5 is negative 2. Absolute value of negative 3. Well, the absolute value of negative 3 is positive 3.
Yeah.
And so that also works.
Hey.
Okay. Now, let's look at example 2 here. First question. Is my absolute value, so the bars, are they by themselves? Do they have anything hanging around outside of them?
Yeah.
So they are or are not isolated?
They're not.
You don't know. Okay. So
Are they?
there's definitely some confusion here. Okay. Here are my absolute value bars, yes? Right here.
Are you asking
And right
if
here.
there's anything outside besides that?
Is there anything outside of those absolute value bars on that side of the equation?
No.
So we are isolated then,
Yes.
because it is just the absolute value equals a number, or equals numbers, whatever. But this is just absolute value equals numbers. So yes, we are isolated. Okay? That's a funky looking check mark. Once you're isolated, you now set up two equations. One equation is the given. So what's my given equation? 3x minus 1 equals 8. Or, now my other equation, keep the absolute value the same. Instead of positive 8, I'm going to set it equal to negative 8. So still 3x minus 1, but we're going to be equal to negative 8. And now we have two equations to solve. This is a more typical problem because now I actually have to do solving. Let's work on this one only.
You have to add the 1.
If it's 3x minus 1, I know I'm going to add 1. If I add 1 on the left, I add 1 on the right. Minus 1 plus 1 cancels. I have 3x, tough math, 8 plus 1.
Right. That was so hard. Dang.
Okay. Now I'm challenging.
That was so challenging.
Now, if 3x equals 9, okay, you guys know what the next step is. If it's
Divide by the 3's.
It's 3x. If it's 3 times x, we need to do the opposite, and we need to
Divide, so 9.
divide by 3.
9 divided by 3 is 3. So, x equals 3 for this one.
So one of my possible answers is x equals 3.
And then that or,
I should have waited on that box.
and then or is x equals negative.
Nope. What do we have up here? We have another equation to solve. Do not assume that because the first answer is positive 3, the second answer is negative 3. You have to solve the equations. Same steps as last time. If it's 3x minus 1, I am going to add 1. If I add 1 on the left, add 1 on the right. Thank you. So now, bring down your 3x. Minus 1 plus 1 cancels. Yeah. Negative 8 plus 1, not so nice and easy, but negative 8 plus 1 is negative 7.
Alright. So divide by 3.
It's 3x to get 3 by itself.
So 7 divided by 3.
So it's
And gives me a 2.3333.
negative 2.3.
Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. 7 divided by 3 is 7/3. Now, technically, it's negative 7 divided by 3, so I'm going to say negative 7/3.
Oh.
So I have answers of 7 or negative 7/3. Excuse me, I said that wrong, didn't I? 3 or negative 7/3.
This is like, I think this is a lot easier.
Huh?
I think this is a lot easier. It looks a lot easier.
Let's say it shouldn't be too bad. Okay, so get the absolute value by itself, set up two equations, and then solve those equations. I think I have the next one set up on the next page. I do, right? Yeah. Okay. Is my absolute value by itself? No. So then my question becomes, what's hanging around outside the absolute value
You get a 5.
that I have to move?
You get a 5. So you add 5.
There is a minus 5 here that is outside the absolute value. So I'm going to add 5.
7 plus 5 equals 2.
If I add 5 on the left, we're going to add 5 on the right. So I still have absolute value of 3x minus 6. What is negative 7 plus 5?
2.
Negative 2.
Wait.
Because you're adding a negative with a positive.
Oh yeah.
Now, what is supposed to be my step here? Okay, well, first of all, is my absolute value by itself?
Yes.
I have absolute value equal to a number, right?
So now you just want to take.
So now,
Yeah. So you just want to take them out.
okay, now here's the catch. Did I just say that up front? There's a catch here?
Yeah.
Okay. This is on the others. Let me backtrack a screen for a moment. On the others, we had absolute value equal to 3. So we said equal to 3 and the opposite of 3. Over here, we had absolute value equal to 8. So we said equal to 8 and the opposite of 8. Where was it? I have to ask.
It's in my pocket.
Really, Dave? Really? Okay. Now, on this one, what's different about this one? I know we're distracted. It's absolute value equal to a negative.
No solution.
Yeah, you remember up here? What did I say about absolute value equal to a negative?
No solution.
No solution. Did we just get absolute value equal to a negative?
Yeah.
We did. So because that's a negative, we're going to say no solution. It always needs to start with an absolute value equal to a positive.
Can I catch up on this one?
The air must be on because I can hear it too.
Always. Okay. Start looking at the next one. Those of you that are ready, think about it.
There is stuff outside.
Ask yourself, are my absolute value bars by themselves? Is there anything outside of my absolute value bars?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's outside my absolute value bars? The negative 3. So how do we get the negative 3 away?
You do the opposite.
You do the opposite. Good. That is negative 3. It's attached to the absolute value, so it is multiplying. And the opposite of multiplying is to divide. If I divide the left by negative 3, we divide the right by negative 3. Now, what happens on the left? The negative 3's will cancel.
So it's going to be 2W. Okay, so negative 6 times
Absolute value of 2W.
negative 6 times negative 2. No, oops. Negative 6 divided by negative 3, which gives me positive 2.
Okay,
What's so funny, Robbie?
gentlemen. You with me, Jacob? Okay. Is my absolute value by itself. I have absolute value equal to a number, right? Once I have absolute value equal to a number, we're going to set up 2. Okay. What's that first equation I'm going to set up? Okay. We're going to keep it as is right here. 2W equals 2. Just drop off the bars.
You're not done. You divide by 2.
Hold on. Or I'm setting up 2 right now.
W2W equals negative 2.
Right. Do we agree with her?
I suppose.
It's absolute value, 2W equals negative 2. Because we keep the absolute value, and then we're going to set up opposite to the, rewind, equal to the opposite sign. So I'm going to say 2W equals negative 2. Okay? So once I get absolute value, we set it equal to the positive, and then equal to the negative. Now, on both of these, if it's 2 times W,
It's 2W.
how do I get W by itself?
Divide, and it's going to become out 1.
Okay, we're going to divide. On the first one, 2 divided by 2 is going to give me 1. On the second one, negative 2 divided by 2. What's a negative divided by a positive?
Negative.
A negative. So this is negative 1. So we have answers of 1 and negative 1. Are we starting to follow a little bit? Focus in with me. Okay. I'm asking the same questions every time. Have you noticed? is my absolute value. My absolute value bars by themselves.
Nope.
No. So what's hanging out with my absolute value bars that need to leave?
3.
Oh, there's a 3 here and a 4 here. Well, just think, if this was 3m plus 4. I'm just making something up here. If this was 3m plus 4, what would you move first?
The 4.
The 4, right? If it was plus 4, you would subtract 4, yes? So let's do it. Let's subtract 4. I subtract 4 on one side, we're going to subtract 4 on the other side, right?
So 13 minus
So I'm still going to have 3 times absolute value of x plus 2. 4 minus 4 cancels. 13 minus 4?
9.
9. Is my absolute value by itself?
No. You gotta do
No, what's still outside of it?
you gotta do
The 3.
9 minus. Wait, no, times. That's what it is.
Okay.
So whenever it's on this side.
What's keeping the absolute value and 3 together?
Times you gotta
Multiplication. So we're going to divide. If I divide one side by 3, we're going to divide the other side by 3. So then, I finally have absolute value of x plus 2 equals 3.
9 divided by 3.
9 divided by 3 is 3. Is my absolute value by itself?
Yes. Yes.
I now have absolute value of x plus 2. Once you get absolute value by itself, you 2. Set up 2. The first one is always the original. So x plus 2 equals 3. Just drop the bars. The second one is always, what's the difference? It's equal to a negative instead of a positive. So you always have the first one, you just drop the bars off. The second one, it's equal to a negative instead of a positive.
Now we gotta solve one. We gotta solve that one.
Got to solve them both, but yep, one at a time here. If it's x plus 2,
Minus.
we're going to subtract 2.
It should be 1.
3 minus 2 is 1. The other one, if it's x plus 2,
Minus.
again, we're going to subtract 2. Notice it's the same step most times, just different numbers on the front end.
What do you mean? Yeah. 5.
Well, it's negative 3 minus 2, so
Oh, that's fine.
how about negative 5? Because if you're at negative 3 and then you go 2 farther left, we're at negative 5. So we have answers of 1 or negative 5.
We may be able to actually.
I'm trying. We're making progress. It was rough at the beginning, but you guys seem you have caught on
It's
now
like-
much better.
I don't know, like I just don't like big numbers, and Miss Arnold tells me that I do not like big numbers.
Well, I hate to be unsympathetic, but I'm gonna have to say get over it because math has big numbers in it. Life
Well, I
has,
mean, I would-
okay, wait.
I
Aside from that, guys, life has big numbers in it. You want to have big numbers in your bank account, so
You want to have the M's in your bank.
see, there you go.
Hey, Robbie.
Yeah.
Okay,
I get
gentlemen.
in trouble with money.
Focus here. We've got 2 more problems, and let's get you guys some work time.
Sorry.
Can you stop so we can work time?
What's my first question to you?
You say yes.
Isolated.
There's a letter outside of the.
Are my absolute value bars by themselves?
Yes.
Yes.
So you
No.
Yes, there is, Robbie.
Wait, I thought you said it was on the other side.
It is on the other side.
Is there anything outside of my absolute value bars here?
Yes.
And there is. So are we isolated?
No.
No. So how do I move the negative 5?
Add the 5.
No?
You multiply the 5.
Nope.
You divide the 5.
It's negative 5 times absolute value k, so we're going to divide by negative 5.
It's gonna be negative 3.
Negative 5's cancel. Absolute value of k equals negative 3.
Imagine the answer. You're not done. Are you?
Well, what's my next step supposed to be?
Then you have two equations.
Okay,
And then
we're supposed to set up 2 equations. And how are the 2 equations supposed to work?
Okay. Equals. Wait, no. That's no solution.
Oh, there we go.
Wait, what?
Okay, did you guys catch what Halen said?
She was so close.
Okay, so I was trying to lead you to it. We're supposed to set up 2 equations. The first equation is supposed to be equal to the given positive, and then the second equation we make equal to the negative. What's the catch here?
It's a negative.
It's already equal to a negative.
So you don't have to do that. There's
So-
no solution.
When absolute value is by itself and equal to a negative,
How did she catch on to that so quick? She's smarter than I am. I must be dumb.
No, I just catch on very easily. We're very good at explaining multiple times.
Well, obviously, I mean,
Not me, I'll sit here like, who?
exactly.
we've also got to focus. Some of us are more focused than others.
I'm not really focused. I just know.
I'm not even-
Okay, one last example. Again, I just asked this, you guys knew it. What's my first question to you?
It's
See if it's by itself.
Sue's acid, which is.
Are my bars by themselves?
So you want to start.
Definitely not.
Wait, there's a negative, so there's no solution.
No.
No, no, no.
Split.
Do I have bars equal to a negative?
No.
No. I don't. I can't. You can't add. You can't even talk about a negative being a bad thing until you get the absolute value by itself.
So you do plus 1 with 14.
So
You
it's
divide.
3 times the absolute value minus 1. First step is to add the 1. Okay, so let's add the 1. So then I still have 3. I don't like where I have that. Try this again. 3 absolute value of 2y minus 5 equals 15. We got rid of the 1. I still need to get rid of the 3. If it's 3 times this,
Divide.
we're going to divide by
no,
3.
I don't know. I'm just going real slow because you guys are really fast.
So 15 divided. Well, the 3 and the 3 cancels, and then 15 divided by 3 is 5.
15 divided by 3 is 5.
Over on this side, my 3's did cancel.
So it's just.
So you divide by 5.
So absolute value of 2y minus 5 equals 5.
So then we gotta just put it.
Is my absolute value by itself?
Yes.
Yes.
I have absolute value, that's the only thing on the left side, equals a number on the right. Once absolute value is by itself, what are we supposed to do?
Next
5.
that make that 5 from the equal side negative.
Well, we're going to set up 2, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to bring it over here. One of them is the given positive. So one of them is equal to the given positive. So 2y minus 5 equals 5. Or the other is 2y minus 5 equals negative 5. And now we're back to solving.
So we gotta add. Yeah, we gotta add 5 to 5.
If it's 2y minus 5, I'm going to add 5.
10. So then. And then we divide the 2 by 10.
Carry down the 2y. 5 plus 5 is
25.
10. 5 plus 5
That's 10.
is 10. If it's 2y, 2 times y, we're going to divide by 2. And 10 divided by 2 means one of my answers is 5.
Can you, way behind. You went too fast.
I'm just gonna stop talking so you don't go too fast so that you can.
I have like most of it written down. Now I have y equals 5 or now I'm caught up.
Then you're caught up.
It's gonna be
Okay, it's 2y minus 5.
2 add the 5.
We're going to what?
Add the 5.
Add the 5. Now, on this one, minus 5 plus 5 cancels again.
Someone's asleep.
On the right, David,
What?
this is why you're not caught up, because you're not focused with me. Negative 5 plus 5 is what? It's 0, yes?
Yes.
If 2y equals 0, how do I solve? If it's 2 times y, again, we're going to divide by 2. What is 0 divided by anything?
0, 0.
0. If I have 0 cookies and I'm dividing it amongst 5 of my closest friends,
You still got 0.
we unfortunately all get 0. Okay, guys,
Yeah.
have a few minutes.
There's
Get the iPad. No, there's 7 minutes. Thank you very much. Class does not end at 2:55. So as far as I'm concerned, you can work till a couple minutes before the bell, so you've easily got 5 minutes. Oh, gosh darn it.
Frosted.
Okay. Get this lesson 3-7 part 1 done for tomorrow, please.
yes, ma'am.